And we are live with Kenny Casanova, currently serving his Facebook sentence.
3 weeks, I think. Shh, keep it quiet because we don't want Zuckerberg to know I'm on right now. I'm not using my Facebook account, but I'm still technically on Facebook. For those who've wondering where I've been, I've seen some really horrible things here in the penitentiary, Facebook penitentiary. I've been to Mexican prison and back. I've picked up
Well, here's
soap
the
a number
question:
of times at the shower.
Can you log into your other pages?
No.
Really?
So I can't get into
Well,
anything.
That's a problem.
Basically, here's what happened, in case people are wondering, because it has nothing to do with politics, or I know that's what a lot of people get bumped off of, but I've been off because I shared a little video clip of Michael Myers breakdancing that went viral, and it got
what? That's the video you got in trouble for?
Yep, it got 9 million hits for no reason at all. Got 9 million hits, and I just taped it off of TikTok, and it had It had no, I dropped the phone here. It had no copyright, nothing like that. I just threw it up there on the screen. And it just kept viral, tons of hits, shares. It had tons of, literally, it was around 10 million last I looked.
Yeah.
And then this company named Junkin. It's Junkin, Junkin Media. What they are is they are a company that actually copyrights and retains rights for videos that become viral. So somebody who said they owned the video, but doesn't necessarily mean it is, from what I've read. Somebody paid $50, license that video, and then they go and they retro flag people for sharing a video that became viral that isn't theirs, and then this company requests licenses for you to pay for money, your license to have it up. And I'm not going to pay for it, but at the same time, even if I did, it didn't matter. There was nothing from Facebook telling me that I had to pay something to fix this, but something got messed up. Here's what happens. I log in and it says, we recently took down access or remove your access to a post that you made, and it's got Michael Myers on it, breakdancing. And after that, I click the next screen, and it says you have been blocked from posting for 3 days. And then when I click the final screen, what I've read is supposed to happen is I'm supposed to be able to see my feed. I'm supposed to be able to do whatever I want. I just can't post. Can't post something.
Yeah.
But what happens is I get a white screen that says something went wrong. We're working on this, and we'll try to fix it as soon as possible. That's what it says. So anytime that I try to log in, I get the whole same sequence, that whole login loop again. And it particularly reads, you have now been blocked for 3 days for posting. So I think what's happening is every time I try to log in, I'm blocked for another 3 days, or it starts over, one or the other. So I honestly don't know.
That's terrible.
But, yeah, so I can't get online, and
well, that sucks, dude. And I'm sorry. That is so frustrating, dude. And I'll tell you what, I had a YouTube channel when I was doing stand up, and I had a ton of videos on there. I had videos of me doing like horseback riding, which was so funny because it was my first time in Oklahoma. I went to Oklahoma to somebody's ranch to learn how to go horseback riding. I filmed the whole thing.
Right.
And then I put up a clip of Alex Trebek from Jeopardy. And I think I had like 25,000 subscribers. And they took all of my videos. They completely erased my channel.
Wow.
I can't get in touch with. I can't get the videos back. I don't have the videos anymore. I can't get the videos back. Huh. And I emailed a million people. Like, no one would even get back to me. It's so frustrating. You can't. And it's like you can call either.
The thing is, too, as I'm trying to do this thing and help guys with writing and stuff like that, almost all of my contacts are on Facebook for whatever reason. They just are. I type to people and instant messenger. I don't bother with phone numbers. I just chat with them, this and that, And
right.
So all I can't access any of that.
Well, somebody actually, Ian Douglas asked me today, can you use Facebook Messenger?
I can't. No, I can't see it. Yeah, I'm blocking everything right now. So I did go online and report. Actually, I tried to restore my account, which didn't work. And I've gone online, and and explained the loop issue that's happening when I log in. Saying that I've been blocked for posting for 3 days, but this was over a month ago almost now. I write it all down. I've sent that through 3 or 4 times and nothing yet. Last course of action is don't touch it for 96 days. I read someone wrote this on Reddit. Don't touch your account for 96 days and maybe you can get in. Like it'll just fix itself.
Now I'm gonna have you going on Twitter and tweet it at Facebook support.
Say that again?
Facebook has a support group on Twitter where you can tweet them. You can tweet them and they'll answer your question.
All right.
So try that.
That sounds like
maybe that'll help.
I can't get on Twitter.
We do have a comment coming in here. Hey guys, Kamala Speaks is a great one. It sure was a great book. Do you have any more books, Kenny? I like Sabu's book as well.
Cool. We'll talk about Sabu in a minute. I did Kamala, Bruce Beefcake, who is How I Met Ed, actually.
Yep.
We got that book. Danny Davis is a smaller book, but it's fun. It's more of like a quick high school kind of book read. What else did you do?
Tito Santana.
Tito.
Great book.
Big fan Vader. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what we got out. I appreciate you buying that. It's cool and supporting the guys. That's what all this is about. But it's hard for me to get in touch with anybody right now. I'm in jail. So if anybody can make me a cake and get one of those little files and put it,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Right. Cool. Somebody says Kenny is alive. It's probably Jamie. I don't know, but I don't know why no one. What's that?
I just can't get a line. Someone threw me a life preserver here, man.
Man, that's gotta be so frustrating, dude.
I think there's something else maybe people could do if you want to try to get me back online. I don't think you report someone's account, but friends can go do something to help you get access to your account again. But I don't know how it works.
Do you think we should start like a Kickstarter for you or anything? Or
no,
a GoFundMe, something so we can buy Facebook?
We could segue over to something that's more important than my stupid Facebook account.
That's true.
If you want. So somebody mentioned the Sabu book. I had a fun time writing that with Sabu. For those of you who know, Bill Alfonso kind of handled him for a long time with ECW. Later on in life, he hooked up with Melissa Coates, who became his manager and also kind of like live-in wifey girlfriend kind of situation. She's been taking care of him a good long time, and she also was a bodybuilder and professional wrestler herself with her own big following. And unfortunately, she had some blood clot issues recently, and they had to amputate her leg. And we've got a GoFundMe up now trying to help support those guys. Just when 2020 was totally horrible and it gets worse and worse and worse. But yeah, so my heart goes out to my friends there. They're out in Vegas right now. Fans have already jumped on it a little bit. I think they're looking to get something like $20,000 to help with the medical costs, and they've got almost like 9 or 10 already. So I think, which is good.
I'll throw the link in the comments.
Yeah, if you could throw the link up, that'd be cool. I don't know, screenshot or whatever. Put it where people can grab it and take a look at it and share it if they can. That'd be cool. Maybe if you could share it to the page later on, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's too bad. That is pretty terrible.
Yeah, she's super cool too. And a lot of times, a lot of these guys, they live rough lives. They live fast lives, almost like rock star kind of situation. Especially when in the golden years and also in the in the 90s and all, and up into the Attitude Era. They're running roughshod, a lot of them had issues with pain pills and different things. And if it weren't for their better halves, some of them did pass. So we lost a number of guys, So Melissa, in this case, and Bruce Beefcake he'll be another one to tell you that Missy Beefcake kind of helped him out of a funk. You know what I mean? That could have done him in. And I would say that probably Hacksaw Duggan's wife is a big name behind keeping him, on the up and up and doing very well for himself in his twilight of his career. So, behind famous guys, that famous chick, and in this case, that's the situation we got there. So, thought we plugged that tonight and
Yeah.
not worry about that other nutsack that didn't show up tonight. So
frustrating. Yeah, we had another guest bailing us tonight, but that's okay. It happens.
Yeah. We're second rate, man. We're chopped liver, but screw those guys.
You know what's interesting about the way that the wrestlers lived in the 80s that people like to talk down upon is that I don't think they would have been the stars that we love so much if they weren't living that crazy lifestyle. Don't you think?
Probably a little both, right? So there's a balance. You had to have the crazy life, but then if you live it too long, then it'll eat you up. The business will eat you up. So
right.
And you said before it might be neat to bring someone like Missy Beefcake on. Bring Beefcake's wife on, cool. Talk to her, and she'll tell you, she handles his money and everything. And a lot of these guys, their wives are running the show. Quite a bit of them, and people don't know that part of the business. But like, let me give you an example. When Sabu's book first came out, we released it at, I can't remember the name of it, but TNA Impact had a pay-per-view this on a Thursday night, the same week as WrestleMania, and it was in New York City there. I think it was called No Bounds or No Boundary or something like that. And we released this book during intermission. He sold a ton of them. Melissa wasn't around for that, but it was basically me selling his T-shirts and helping him with 8x10s, and we put his book out. And he sold a bunch of books that night, the first night. This was 2 years back now, so not this past year, but before that when they had WrestleCon at the TNA show. And dude, Sabu, I would say to him, how much are the shirts? I don't know. I don't really handle money. Okay, what do you want to sell the 8x10s at? I don't know. And that guy would be like, can I get a combo? And I'm like, what's a combo? And he goes, I think they want a picture and an 8x10 with me too. And I'm like, oh, okay. How much is that? I don't know. So, I mean, and that is not uncommon. The wrestlers don't like to handle the money. They don't want to be the bad guy, or who wants to collect the money and put it in their pocket for taking a picture with someone. So you usually have like the handler guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these girls, so man, that it sucks that's happened with Sabu and his girl now, because she controlled everything for him, man, the pricing and his merch. And unless something has changed, I don't even think she's in the same place as him right now, because the whole COVID situation.
Yeah.
I think she's in a hospital, or at least she was as of a few days ago. I don't know if something's changed. I haven't been able to reach him for a day or so, but she's in another building somewhere where he's not allowed to go in. So big mess, man.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say most relationships are probably like that, right? Where the wife handles that. Like when people come to me about bills, like I have no idea. I don't even know how my kids are registered for school.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my wife, my kids probably just be hanging out.
Yep.
Eating whatever was in the house.
Box of cereal, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably how it is. But so what projects are you currently working on? I know you mentioned that you got a lot of stuff going on, but
well, just in the nick of time, we did finish the Sabu coloring book. So what we're trying to do right now, I just talked to Peter Bregman, he's the artist. He also did Cactus Jack and the Beanstalk with me, which is a coloring book that we used to create some donations for Connor's Cure in his end. And also we did Demolition on Mars. So basically our coloring comic book hybrid line, it makes fun of different genres or different fairy tales, and we call it bedtime stories. And this one's all set to go. And we've got a Beefcake one we're working on too. That'll be
now. Where are they going to be sold?
So that's what we're working on now. You can get them right at my website. You can get them on Amazon. We just haven't released it yet. And the reason is we want to do some kind of virtual. So we'll probably do it on here. And someone in Vegas will handle, as we've said, Sabu. So they'll sit with Sabu. They'll show the coloring book. He'll sign them to spec. If you want it written to John or to Sally or whoever, he'll sign them. Someone will sit there and they'll look at like PayPal as the stuff rolls in. He'll sign the book and then they'll mail them out. And that'll be the release. So we're going to do a virtual release that's going to also act as a fundraiser for them.
Now, my suggestion to people out there would be to buy 2 of them. One to have autographed and one to actually color them.
One to color, yeah.
Right?
And our slogan for that line, the bedtime stories, sounds like bedtime stories, is get some color, which is like, how they, a little wrestling connection.
Now, will there be a package where people could buy maybe 2 books and a box of crayons?
That's, my wife said to do that. She said to go buy just crayons, take the labels off, put new labels on them, and call it like the Crimson Mask red and like green, and like black and blue.
Dude, I used to always think about like how much people get paid to come up with the names of the colors for crayons.
Yeah.
Like, you ever go through like one of those Crayola 64 and you're like, what color is this again? I didn't even know this was like a shade of orange.
This is sea mist green.
It's honestly terrible. Like when my kids have a project and they have to find the color of orange. I'm like, is this orange? No, it's not. That's not orange. It's like apricot orange or something. Yeah. So weird. But that's pretty cool. That's exciting. So when will that happen, you think?
Soon. I mean, we're trying to throw it together as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
We want it to happen so people can get the books in time for Christmas. So, you got a couple weeks and they got to come out, and that'll be that. And they'll ship quick, so that won't be a problem. All I got to do is print them. They take me like 4 or 5 days to print, and then I can ship them out. But we just have to kind of get our ducks in a row. And if it doesn't happen in time for Christmas, that's okay. People still like it. I think it'll be a good product.
Oh, yeah. I think it's cool. Well, you can always pre-order it for Christmas, right? If
that's true. Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind for that is that I'm talking to one of my guys. He does a bunch of autograph signings up here. A few weeks back, we had Nick on from Captain's Corner, who told us a lot about like the agenting and and bringing guys around and appearances. There's another guy out here who does that named Scott Wilder. So, Scott said he would bring in Sabu and give him a bunch of appearances and just let him keep all the money after the air flight ticket is made. You know what I mean? Just to pay the one expense at a hotel or something. So we might pair up with him and do like a little quick tour on the release of the coloring book, and just unlike any publisher would ever do, we're just like, okay, take all the money now. You know what I mean? So that's usually what I do. I don't really try to take a big chunk of change off the boys, because I know how it is, and a lot of them have been screwed by promoters in the past. So my projects are all sort of to some degree fundraising and merch creating for the boys to have something that they have ownership into. So
no, that's cool, man. How long does it take you to do a coloring book? Like if someone started tomorrow and they want to have
we could crank it out. We did one in a month, but we were really all for it.
Is that quick? You think it could have been faster to have one?
I couldn't be faster than that, and take away from the quality of the product. But this one took a little while. Just COVID slowed things down, and artists had a lot of things going on. And man, I'll tell you too, I've never been diagnosed, or I'm not on any sort of depression medication or anything of the sort, like with any sort of mental illness, and not to take away from any of that. But COVID, I don't know if I got something that's brewing. I just don't want to write. I don't want to do anything. I'm not all that creative right now. I'm just
you're not interacting. Well, are you interacting with anybody?
I mean, I do school. I'm a school teacher. Everything's fine at work and everything, but just I don't feel like doing extra stuff. And it's not that I'm lazy. And I used to be like a big time hustler, get everything done. But this has kind of put a little cramp on me and other people I know like me. Some people have done very well with all free time and all, but I think there's also an element of what do you call this? Like the holiday blues. When the fall kicks in and then it starts to turn into winter, and some people talk.
Well, definitely, you got to take what is it? Is it vitamin?
They say vitamin E, maybe D.
Vitamin D or E?
I don't know.
Whatever the sun one is.
I don't know. I think you like the D, right?
I think so. Yeah. Well, the other day I find myself having to Google words that I would never have to Google before. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I couldn't think of the word ransom. So I had to look up on Google, what do you collect when you kidnap some, you kidnap somebody. And now I'm like, is the FBI going to see that and like come to my house because
are you dieting or anything? Because when I did back in the day, I took some hydroxycut. Remember the illegal hydroxycut?
Yeah.
I took some of that. I lost like 30 pounds. This was back 2000, like right around there, 2001, something like that. And I couldn't remember the word refrigerator. And there were certain things that just things disappeared from my memory.
I know.
So if you change your diet or something like that, sometimes that can happen. Mess up your brain.
I do wonder if it's because I'm just not talking to as many people, so I'm not using words that I normally would use before. Not that I use the word ransom a lot, but But I'm talking to a 5 and 7-year-old all day. It's not like I'm interacting with other adults.
Yeah. Do you not leave the house for much?
I don't have anywhere where I'm going to go.
Oh, okay.
My state's shut down. Everything's closed. I have no.
I'm a school teacher, so I'm in school every day. Business as usual. I just have a mask on my face. But
wait, you're actually in the building?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm in a CTE school, meaning like a vocational, like where they teach auto or culinary or computer classes and different trades, different things. But I'm the English teacher. So what happens is typically I go into the classroom, like an auto classroom, and have them write papers on a motor or a product line or something like that, right? But in this case, they don't really want me going into the classrooms regularly. So a lot of the kids are they're doing a virtual meet with me, so there's less interaction with me seeing 8 different classrooms and then bringing the bug into 8 different classrooms that maybe I could pick up, So it's weird. I'm on campus, but I'm doing virtual Google stuff, Google Classroom.
Now, do the kids that you teach know about you, like who you like, your background in the wrestling industry?
Since we're older, and I think our audience is older, half of them don't care. But when some of them, when there are a few marks that find out, and then they flip out, and then they don't leave me alone.
Oh, really? Is that annoying? Or
no, I like it. It's funny.
Now, how come you haven't promoted our podcast to your students? You should make that like required watching.
Probably because I just called someone a nutsack earlier for not showing up.
Fair enough.
He's not a nutsack.
We get all the viewers that we can.
Yeah.
Whatever you got to pander to.
That's it.
No, I do wonder because I know that Tito is a teacher, and I always wonder, like, how do his kids how does that work? That his kids aren't all like, "You Tito Santana?"
I asked him this, so what he told me is that he says, "Listen, we don't talk about the wrestling in school. What we do is, if you want, you can come to the hair salon any Tuesday that you want, and I'll take pictures with them there. I give them the 8x10, whatever they want. But in school, it's business first." So that's what he does.
Oh, all right. I do. They probably, as the generations, the years go by, I'm sure some of the kids probably don't even know who he is.
That's the
right?
funny thing too. Like when I was growing up, he was the man, right? So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a beginning of a movie that reminds me of it. I can't remember what it is, but right at the start of it, they say, "Wise man once said, if you wait long enough, nobody will care." And it's in relation to like celebrities who are starting to lose their mojo. Maybe you know what? I think it's the Teddy Bear with Mark Wahlberg movie. What? Ted?
Oh,
is it called Ted?
Yeah.
I think that's it, at the start of that movie where they. The idea is like Britney Spears was the biggest thing for a period of time. And now if you walk past her on the street or something, you may not recognize her or care. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a good example, but they used someone as an example there. And then they moved the story onward with the idea that the bear was a big deal and then it dropped off as being important and no one cared anymore. So,
yeah. No, that I do see that. It's so funny how wrestling translates to real life in almost everything. Like I see people who a good example is Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio signed autographs for 1 million people.
Right.
Like he was literally at every autograph signing that you possibly could imagine, right? So it got to a point where it wasn't really cool to see Joe DiMaggio anymore because he was literally everywhere. Like Pete Rose, like Pete Rose, a legend of baseball. The guy's like on the sidewalk signing autographs, right? So it's like not, like who cares that you met Pete? It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And wrestling is kind of the same way, right? Where they if they give it, bring a guy out too much, the audience starts to like not really care that he's there.
That, and also, you know what and this brings me back to the stuff that I was talking to Nick Maskey about, like since it's out of the bag now, the wrestlers all make a second, career after they get out of the ring on all these appearances at Comic Cons and stuff like that. Now they're all easily accessible, so the mystery is not there. Remember when you used to buy like a record album? Part of the mystery was you didn't know anything about the band, and you would open up, the record of the tape, and you'd read the book, and that's all you could get. You didn't know anything else about them. You couldn't go to their website and read the About tab and watch YouTube videos and interviews with them and all this stuff. You just got a little taste of it. A lot of people love those little booklets that came with the CDs and the sleeves with the records and the whole deal.
Oh, look, speak of the devil right there. Scott Wilder. Not unless they have a new figure.
Okay, so if they have a new action figure, then they're a big deal. If they don't...
You know what? I actually thought about that. If I had the money, I would buy the LJN license and figure out how they and I would remake all the old school, all the guys that the WWE still has license for, like all the old school guys, and then all the new guys and the LJN, like somebody like myself, right? I collect LJNs.
Yeah,
I would buy people who I had never even heard of, and I'd start watching it again just because I was able to buy their figure. And now my kids would start watching because I'm watching again, right?
Yeah.
But they're not forward thinking enough to think about how easy it would be for them to do that. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right. I watched your show you recommended that I see the other day. What was it called? Toys That Made Us with the wrestling special. You said to go watch that, and I did. So I guess what you would want to do is hook up with, what was his name, Jewish Lightning, that guy.
That guy. Yeah,
he was the one that kind of put some of that together, I think, right? So,
I'm just surprised that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a bad idea. I like those big action figures. You could like drop one off a building through a car's windshield, and the thing would be
I just think that they're like, they're just so solid, Mr. Fuji.
That's awesome.
They're just made so perfectly. They're not made to be played with,
So he said that in that documentary that they were showing off the prototype that was that big, and they weren't supposed to be that big. They were going to shrink them down, right? And
right.
Somebody said, no, we want to buy them this big, like whoever the toy manufacturer. And they were like, wait, we have to make them this big? We're going to shrink them down, And they're like, no, we want them big like this. So then they ended up coming out the same size as the prototype, which I thought was kind of cool. I didn't know that.
Well, don't you remember being that age, and walking down the aisle of Toys R Us or whatever toy store that you frequented?
Yeah.
And all in that giant blue backing, that bright blue backing would be staring at you.
Yeah.
And you knew it was like literally like it was like gold just shining.
Yeah. And I didn't collect them though. I just had a handful of them. I didn't start collecting them until Hasbro. And probably in the middle of the line. I think I started collecting them around the yellow card series of Hasbro.
Okay.
Right? Which Kamala came out on.
Scott Wilder has a extremely wrong opinion, but
the Jakks Classic. Well, so the Jakks Classics aren't bad, but the ones before them, the Bone Crushers, are horrible. Yeah. Those are the ones that the guy held up. I don't mind
the Jakks Class. I don't know if I have the Jakks over there. I don't know which ones.
I like those. Okay, those are fine. But I did the ones before that. The first Jakks series, that was garbage. This was sucked. They all look like little Gumby looking dudes.
I just love the LJNs, and I don't think will ever be a toy line that even matches up to it.
I have all of them, right? Like everything is. Oh, we talked about this, except Kirshner with the beard. You pointed out. Now I realize. I guess the completionist. I got to get that. I think it's expensive as hell.
He and his head with the LJN.
Oh yeah, it would hurt, I think.
Oh yeah, those things. I mean, the only bad thing about the LJNs was that they weren't scaled. Like Mr. Fuji is the same height as King Kong Bundy.
Is that true? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right.
It's weird. There's a lot of repaint stuff, and just paint variants. Like I have a Captain Lou that has like on his T-shirt
the red lapels and the white lapels.
Yeah, like a red and a white. And,
yeah, I think I investigated it because of the different depending on what factory
factories they made. Yeah, and then there's the Jimmy Hart with hearts on the megaphone, one without.
Now, do you think somewhere out there's like a warehouse that's closed down? Someone stopped paying the rent. Maybe they didn't pay the taxes on it. Where there's literally boxes and boxes of unopened LJNs, or you think
so? To get specific like that with LJN, I don't know, but recently they found boxes and boxes of the AAA knockoffs to LJNs.
Really?
And those were all worth 100, 150 a pop on the card. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No, I never heard of those.
Conan, Rey Mysterio, La Parka. They're very, very similar to the LJN. You should look those up sometime.
Is it the Galoobs?
Nah, I don't know. I don't know what company made them. I couldn't tell you.
Because the Galoob was like the WCW version of the LJN.
So again, these are AAA wrestlers. They're the AAA Mexican Lucha Libre. Whoever that company put them out. So
I never heard of those.
Yeah, you should check that out. But they found a whole half of the series, a bunch of them, boxes and boxes of half of the series. So like you could go pick up an original Conan that's sort of about the same size to the LJN, and they don't move. They're very similar. They're PVC kind of like non-posable. Look that up when you get a chance. Look up AAA action figures, and I'm pretty sure it's like you could get. It was a guy named Heavy Metal, Rayo DiGialsco, Lucha Libre guys that know their stuff, know what I'm talking about right now. But yeah, that happened. That very same thing happened, which is funny because all the ones they found are like mint in box on the card in the package, and they were all highly collectible to begin with, $150, $200, and now they found a bunch of them, and whoever found them started selling them for like $75 or like half the price. I think they're all gone now. Like you couldn't get them from the guys that were selling them now, but moved hundreds of them. So pretty cool. So what you say would be? You never know.
Yeah, no, I mean could you even imagine? I mean, I could not imagine that.
I'll have to look it up and send it to you, but there's a company that specializes in that idea on Instagram who finds rare factory sealed boxes of toys that never made it to shelf, went in warehouses or what have you. And from time to time, they put up stuff. Recently, they had a big, I don't want to say recent, but maybe a year or so ago, they found a bunch of what we're talking about, LJNs. And another time before that, they found something else that was super rare, old G.I. Joe stuff or something like that. So,
I saw somebody the other day found it was like 100 cases of an original He-Man toy.
Huh.
Like the vehicle that had like the red razor blades around it that spun around. I forgot what it was called.
I'm sorry. I said, like we said, LJN. I was wrong. It was AWA. That's what they were selling. A whole bunch of AWA on the card stuff, brand new, mint in the package.
Okay. Oh, really?
Like 2 packs and, like the Freebirds and the Long Riders and the Road Warriors and stuff like that. It was really cool. But they did like a countdown thing. It's a pain in the ass. They didn't just start selling them. They were like, we're going to count down. In 10 days, we'll sell these. And then the next 9 days. And then, they count right down. And then when it came, everybody just bought everything like immediately. It was like selling out tickets to, see the.
Now I'll tell you what. The reason I thought of the idea is because Brutus owns his name now, right? His license.
Yep.
Does he own his likeness as well?
Yep. You want to know the history on that? That's
a
little bit of a story, but I mean, so when he left WWE, he could not bring Brutus the Barber Beefcake to WCW. Very much like WWE did not allow Razor Ramon and Big Daddy Cool Diesel to go to WCW.
Right.
They told Brutus Beefcake he couldn't do that. So Hulk Hogan said, well, okay, who cares, brother? We'll call you whatever. We'll call you the Zodiac. We'll call you the man with no name. He just made up all these bullshit names for him, So none of them really did very well for him because they were not really remotely close to what he was doing in WWE. People didn't really recognize it, didn't get over. So anyhow, when he left WCW, time passed. Vince McMahon let the uh, uh, trademark expire, and
Yep.
Brutus started using the name Brutus Beefcake on Independence again. And almost like a squatter's rights, he used it for so long that he re-obtained it, almost legally. And maybe 10, 15 years after that, Bischoff was doing something with Hogan called Celebrity Wrestling. Do you remember
Yep.
this? Celebrity Wrestling had Dennis Rodman in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Danny Bonaducci, right?
I remember that.
Maybe Screech, some guys like that, real asshole guys, right? So, anyhow, they had these different coaches. I think Knobs was one of them, and Brutus Beefcake was one of them. And they started advertising on television. Brutus Beefcake, Bruce the Barber, is going to be one of the coaches, to get the guys going and train them how to wrestle and put them on Celebrity Wrestling, right? McMahon heard this, or his people heard this, and said, "You can't do that. You can't advertise Brutus Beefcake. We own his name." And Eric Bischoff, he put his lawyers on it because they'd already spent money advertising, saying Brutus Beefcake was going to be one of them, so they already used his name. He said, "Well, you let it run out." And they said, "Well, we still have a right to it." And they said, "Well, he's used it for the past 10 years now, so let's see what happens." And it went to court, and Brutus won it back. So he won the case and was able to use it again because he had been using it and WWE had let it go. So that's how he got his name back. Funny thing on that too is then if you want to bring in weird like domain name squatters, somebody owned BrutusBeefcake.com. It wasn't Brutus and it wasn't Vince. It was just some domain squatter, and they wanted
How did you get that?
They wanted it $5,000 for it forever.
Oh
They were holding on to it for a long time. And what happens is a lot of these guys, they'll use a sniper type, almost like eBay. You wait till last minute, and then when it's available for a second in a grace period, this dirty company will grab it during the grace period in which someone can renew. They'll grab it from you and not honor the grace period. So I did that to that asshole that was holding on Beefcake, and I got it, and I paid a company like $60-$70 to snipe it back.
Oh, nice.
And now he owns it. So I own a lot of domains, by the way. Just in case we ever have a project come up, I have a number of different ones that I've wanted to do stuff with. And if one of the boys came along and said, "Hey, I want that account or whatever," I would just give it to him. Like I own MartyJannetty.com. I don't have a Marty Jannetty book in the works. We've talked about it. And we may do it one day, but if he were to come along and say he wants it to have, I just give it to him. So I squat on him for the boys now.
I'll tell you what, it's actually not a terrible. I mean, the whole reason I even thought about that idea with the LJNs was I was thinking, I'm like, oh, Brutus owns his own name again.
Yeah.
In his likeness. What if there was like a Beefcake, like a 6-pack new LJN figures that came out where it was like the barber and then a couple of different, poses that he did.
It's cool, but let me tell you why that couldn't happen with certain guys. A lot of guys have WWE Legends contracts.
Right.
Basically, what the Legends contract is you're signing over your likeness and your license to your name, if you own it, back over to Vince so he can use it in video games first and foremost, and then action figures if he wants to. So, and t-shirt sales. So if they want to do any of that, they have carte blanche because they own the license to use their name while the contract is going. So how do I explain this? Not Brutus, but most mid-card guys might get like 10 grand. Like Kamala was getting 10 grand of an upfront royalty that he would get. Here's 10 grand worth of royalties so we can use your likeness in this game. We can make action figures or whatever.
Yeah.
If we surpass sales in meaning you should have got more than 10 grand, we'll throw you more money. But if we make less, you kind of owe us for that. And we could make you go out and do like an autograph signing at like one of these, before WrestleMania events that they have and things like that. Usually they, I think
So
they've
it's like a
almost
draw.
never.
So it's like a draw.
Yeah, but they've almost never used it. They've never slapped someone with that. So say
Yeah.
that. Let me think of someone that didn't do a lot with them. Who's kind of in and out. I don't know. It's tough to tell.
Well, like Tito hasn't really done anything with them. Does he have a
All
Legends
right.
contract?
Yeah, I think he does. So let's say someone like Tito. Okay. Say that Tito had a T-shirt, and I'm trying to think of something lower. I don't know. T-shirt and a hat came out maybe one year. They gave him $10,000, and he really only should have gotten, by what they sold, $4,000 in royalties. Right? He technically owes them $6,000 worth of work or credit towards something else if they don't do anything, and they could theoretically ask for that 6,000 back. They've never done it, but I think they keep that floating over guys' heads so guys don't talk shit about him, so guys don't go out and do something with somebody else that would be competitive with them during their contract, because they know they could lose $6,000. See what I mean?
I wonder.
So it's almost like
what
$10,000 is royalties and hush money and be pro WWE. You know what I mean? And then sometimes they do, though. They'll put out like Beefcake. They put out a bunch of Beefcake figures right in a row there, or a lot of Beefcake stuff came out, right? He made 7 or 8 times the amount that you normally would get, because they actually gave him more money. They were like, we got this plan. So he got all kinds of stuff, during that period of time. And they made good with, the idea that we sell more stuff, you get more royalties. But that doesn't happen with everyone much at all.
Yeah. So what happens with a guy like Kamala? He passes away. Like, who owns the rights now?
It's his wife. And
okay.
Same thing with Vader. His son handles that. So like if they make a Vader figure or something like that, the money would go to his son. In fact, nothing really came out merch wise, I think, last time, but his son said that they wrote him like a $10,000 check for the Legends, and maybe he's on video game. Maybe they would monetize the Vader video appearance in the new 2K or whatever they call it game, as maybe being worth $5,000 or something like that. They're not going to really go after the son for the other $5,000 as they give it back. It just doesn't. That kind of stuff almost never happens. So
that's interesting.
But they could. That's the thing, and they use it. So and a lot of people, like Hacksaw did this recently. He lets it run out because he would rather go make his own line of shirts or do this or that. And if they got a good handle on their own merch, or if they've got an offer for a movie or something, they don't have to pay Vince a taste of any of that stuff if they're not under the contract. And it doesn't get used against them, or you know what I mean. So
I tell you what, it's interesting.
Yeah, they got a pretty neat little game going, and sometimes it's more in their favor than it is the wrestlers. Quite often, I remember. I think Barry Darso told me back when I was writing Kamala's book. He was like, that thing was a joke. He said before they were even doing the $10,000 thing, they would have you sign a contract, and they would just kind of like maybe throw you a little bit of money and say more is on the way, and you didn't know what you were getting. He said those royalty checks, he's like, I was lucky if I could go buy a 12-pack of beer with them when they came, and that was it.
Right.
So they were nothing, So.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So when can we expect the launch of the coloring book? Let's try to plug something.
Well, we're going to try soon. So at the moment, I would ask people
before Christmas, right?
Yep. Yeah. I'd ask people to check out the GoFundMe and help out the best that they can. Stay tuned here. If I can get out of Facebook jail, then I'll start promoting the crap out of that. Yep. If not, we do have some people that said they'll organize and do something with Sabu right in Vegas. I just got to kind of set that up with him. We'll mail some books down there and get them going, and then probably beginning of the year or so, I would guess in January, late January, we'll do an appearance thing in the Northeast, and we'll ship Sabu all over the place and get him, signing the coloring books and give him another piece of merch out there. And he'll also sell his regular book and all, that I did with him, and
cool
and all that. So,
and we're off next week. We'll be some of us will be illegally celebrating Thanksgiving.
Sounds good to me. With 10 or more people.
They're gonna they're gonna monitor how big of a turkey you buy.
All right, I hear that. If it's a 10 to 12 feeder, then Mario Cuomo is going to be outside your door.
Right.
So, did I say Mario? Oh, that's showing how old I am. Andrew Cuomo. I just picked on his dad.
That's funny.
Showing my age here. So anyhow, this show, as you know, was much better than Avi Klein sitting here with his stupid pajamas on and his dumb hat and his pencil mustache and his no showing us when he asked to be on our show to begin with. We didn't want him. He asked to do like promo for all his stupid podcasts that he just rips off our format here with as many has-beens as he could find. The guy.
Hey, we were the first ones doing. We were the first ones doing this.
I know. Guy kayfabes us after he wants to be a guest on this thing. So I don't know, man. If I get him in the ring, 15-foot high steel cage match, man.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll be back on December 3rd.
We will be, but I'll